Are you ready to talk about episode 2 of Queen Charlotte, A Bridgerton Story? Honeymoon, Bliss. And I have my notes, y'all, and my cup of tea. And you'll definitely want your cup of tea, especially when these three are together. Please excuse my horrible British accent. So let's dive in. In this episode, we find out that they are calling this integration the Great Experiment. Throughout the season, we're going to see how there are so many unknowns about this great experiment and how vital Lady Danbury is a part in all of this. Most exciting of all is that we see Violet Bridgerton with a new grandbaby. Another major question is answered. These two are an item. Seriously, their love story is probably one of my favorites. And I'm going to say my thoughts until episode 6 review because I love them so much. But during this time, these two are having some issues. Bliss is not what I would call their honeymoon. This is where Charlotte says her famous line that we all love, "Fight with me, fight for me." And in episode 2, he tells her to leave and she listens, which is very important for this season in parallel to later on in the later episode. We also learn where her love for dogs come from, or should I say a deformed bunny. And this is where we start to see the connection between Brimsley and Charlotte, because Charlotte wants to see her ladies in waiting, but it's her honeymoon. And Brimsley's is like, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you what not to really do. And so Lady Danbury is called for tea. And this tea is very vital because this is where Lady Danbury is able to look at Charlotte and be like, you were the first of your kind. You must secure your position. If you've seen my first video, we ended it with some drawing. Charlotte made some drawings for her children, which she learned from Lady Danbury on how to sire a royal heir. Now in present day, the three OGs are having tea and Charlotte is asking Violet, how do you make these matches? You've had 2 marriages in 2 years. She's like, you have many children. I have many children. Violet says love. And then Charlotte talks about how her children have fallen in love with the wrong sort, which to me, I'm like, is this foreshadowing Benedict's season? Because Benedict technically falls in love with someone that's in a lower class. Also, Lady Danbury emphasizes that she has 4 children. But I'm like, does this mean that you have more than 4? More on that later. Now in our flashback, young Lady Danbury is making some political moves of her own. She's starting to have tea with Princess Augusta. What's interesting about these scenes is that we can see the makings of the Lady Danbury that we know today. During all this, Queen Charlotte is alone and sad, and she doesn't understand why her husband doesn't come and see her, and they still haven't had a wedding night. At the beginning of the episode, she goes, I understand if you would be at a brothel, not at your observatory. So when he shows up for a meal, she is very upset, but he's like, just give me some of your time. So they go to his observatory, and I just love when TV and film does this, with the girls looking off, and she's like, it's beautiful, and the guy goes, yes it is, staring at her. The Danburys move into their house to what we know now as Danbury House. All thanks to Lady Danbury, let that be known. However, we do end on a sad note because even though they have a wedding night, Charlotte overhears George say, I was born for the happiness or misery of a great nation. Parallels to season 3 in a way, how Penelope overheard Colin. We sadly end with Queen Charlotte eating by herself in present day Bridgerton.